A Clown Named Vernon is a project I worked on for my Sound for Short Film class. We were tasked with creating the post-production audio for another class's short film. This included recording and editing eigentones, also referred to as ambient sounds, dialogue editing, creating sound effects, recording Foley, and mixing, mastering the final mix. I collaborated with another classmate on this project. We had roughly 3 weeks from picture lock to the final deliverable due date to finish the project. Our workflow was an extremely important aspect of the project. We couldn't start on the dialogue editing until we had an official picture lock, so to make use of time, we analyzed the rough cut to determine the different eigentones we would need, and decided the best place to record these sounds. Often, we went to the exact location these shots were filmed in, such as a greenhouse or the park, but sometimes we had to record sounds that would fit the shot, even if the location wasn't the same. After acquiring the stereo eigentone recordings, we edited out any unusable parts of each recording, leaving a single clip of usable audio for each eigentone. Sometimes a 10-minute recording only yields a minute of usable audio, so to prepare for this, we often recorded longer than we needed. We finished up the eigentones by processing it with EQ and noise reduction software in order to get a clean recording. Once we got picture lock, we were set to start on the dialogue editing. For me, this was the most important part of the project. Going into the dialogue editing, I formed a few principles that I maintained throughout the dialogue editing process. This was, you cannot remove the noise floor, only add to it. Longer fades allowed for longer time for the change of energy, and there should be no noticeable cuts or sound that takes the viewer out of the story. The sound should make the cuts feel like a believable, coherent scene. Obviously, noise reduction software exists, but by keeping these principles in mind, we were able to solve a lot of issues, remove a lot of noise without affecting the quality of the dialogue in any way. Using noise reduction software would come later in the workflow after the dialogue editing. Starting out with the dialogue editing, we had two main objectives: remove unwanted sound and smooth out the cuts within the scene. To achieve this, we had to separate all the audio clips by noise profile. This generally meant that they were separated by camera angle, but ultimately what we wanted was each dialogue track in our DAW, which was Pro Tools, to have the exact same background room tone. This meant if those clips needed a specific sort of processing, such as an EQ to notch out a resonance frequency, the EQ would only be affecting all the clips that actually needed the EQ and nothing else. Here is an example of the raw audio given to us. You can hear a major change in room tone.
When no one was looking, I almost got caught.
Sounds like you weren't using your head, rookie.
What you gotta do is find the family dog, feed it one slice of pizza, take the rest out of the box, throw the box on the ground so people will assume he's eaten the whole thing. Then you get to keep the pizza. That's how you steal leftover food from a kid's birthday party.
Well, I had no idea I was in the presence of a master. Way too much leftover cake when no one was looking. I almost got caught.
Sounds like you weren't using your head, rookie.
What you gotta do is find the family dog, feed it one slice of pizza, take the rest out of the box, throw the box on the ground so people will assume he's eaten the whole thing. Then you get to keep the pizza. That's how you steal leftover food from a kid's birthday party.
Well, I had no idea I was in the presence of a master.
One camera angle has a lot of wind noise while the other angle is relatively quiet. We knew that we could use noise reduction software to help eliminate the wind, but in order to create a smooth and seamless transition, the noise reduction software would have to affect both clips equally. We also wouldn't be able to completely get rid of the wind noise without ruining the integrity of the dialogue sound. We opted to add wind into the quiet tracks, allowing us to process the noise reduction on the tracks equally and smoothing out the cuts. It also made sense in terms of the scene for there to be wind, as it is shown in the background. Another example of problems that we had to fix in the dialogue stage is the absence of noise. It is common for the production crew to record scenes MOS, or without sound. The production audio recordist's main goal is to record clean dialogue, or anything else that is necessary to record on set. Here you can hear the audio drop out.
Too much information.
Hey,
Pay yourself.
I've got something for you.
Too much information.
Hey,
Pay yourself.
I've got something for you.
Our eigentone is a stereo sound that matches the scene that is played in the background. But since the noise floor of the park scene was unique and a bit high, the absence of room tone would immediately take the viewer out of the scene, so using just eigentone wasn't going to work. Later, we would add Foley, but for now, we needed to put in the windy room tone from before. Here is another example of a problem that we needed to fix. You can hear the door shut twice, before and after the apartment scene.
And that's when she performed her greatest trick. She made herself disappear.
Hi.
And that's when she performed her greatest trick. She made herself disappear.
In order to fix this, we needed to put room tone over the second door closing sound. The room tone had to match the noise profile of that scene. The same idea applies to a lot of different problems. Sometimes you can hear the boom pole getting bumped, which gives off a low frequency rumble. Sometimes you hear someone on the crew make a sound in the background. Whatever the case, it's necessary to remove these sounds. If the sound is occurring between dialogue lines, then using room tone to replace it generally works really well, assuming the room tone has the exact same noise profile. If it occurs during dialogue, then removing the offending frequencies is our best bet. Here is an example of the boom pole getting bumped in the middle of dialogue. It's a very low frequency sound, so it may be hard to hear depending on your listening device. To diminish the amount of distraction this sound causes, I use Adobe Audition's healing brush and analyzer to find the offending frequencies and remove them to the best of my ability.
I spent most of my life trying not to take the world too seriously.
Yeah, I've noticed.
And I remember, on our first date, you said that the reason you became a magician was because you liked the look on people's faces when they found something new and exciting. And I guess it's my fault that whenever I find that face coming on, I cover it with makeup. I've spent most of my life trying not to take the world too seriously.
Yeah, I've noticed.
And I remember, on our first date, you said that the reason you became a magician was because you liked the look on people's faces when they found something new and exciting. And I guess it's my fault that whenever I find that face coming on, I cover it with makeup.
Like any noise reduction process, it's always a balance between keeping the integrity of the dialogue and eliminating the offending frequencies. I chose not to completely remove the sound, but remove it just enough that it isn't a distraction that pulls the viewer out of the scene. In order to get the room tone sounds that we needed to fix our issues, we created a work track in Pro Tools. From here, we would grab a clip from each track. They all share the same noise profiles, that's how we set it up originally. Extended the handles as far as possible, and used the shuffle mode to quickly delete any unusable sound. We were trying to get as much clean audio of just the background noise as possible. We would then fade all the audio together and consolidate it into a single clip, which we would then give a label to. If we needed the room tone to create longer fades or even paste over a noise, we could use this room tone clip, which we derived from the dialogue audio tracks themselves. Sometimes we still needed more room tone than we could derive. In this case, we would time stretch or even reverse room tone in order to achieve our goal. This was an important process in our dialogue editing. It was a bit time consuming, and since any movement in the microphone would change the quality of the background noise, we couldn't just use room tone from the location. We had to have the room tone from the exact mic placement for the audio problems we needed to fix. After dialogue editing was finished, we recorded sound effects and added Foley. Here's an example of footsteps that seemed to drop out as soon as Roxanne, one of the main characters, edited the scene. Since you could hear the footsteps right before she enters the frame, it would make sense that you could hear the footsteps when you see her, so we had to record these footsteps and add them in. One challenge we had was matching the fake footsteps with the footsteps recorded from the production audio. While we could have removed her footsteps using room tone like the process before and adding all the footsteps in ourselves, we decided to mix the fake with the real footsteps. The end result is very subtle, but it's noticeable in certain listening environments. Here is another example of us adding in footsteps to the scene. By recording in a room with a similar ground and acoustics, and using time compression expansion, we were able to line up the footsteps in a realistic way.
Skin condition cleared up.
Yeah. Yes. I got this new Neutrogena face scrub. It really works wonders.
I'll have to try it sometime.
Your face looks fine to me.
I noticed your skin condition cleared up.
Yeah. Yes. I got this new Neutrogena face scrub. It really works wonders.
I'll have to try it sometime.
Your face looks fine to me.
Here is another scene where we recorded Foley. We wanted to add a disappointed breathing sound, as his facial expression gives the audience an expectation of the sound, as well as fabric noises, which helps add a certain quality to the audio.
And I haven't seen her since. And I haven't seen her since.
Finally, we were ready for the noise reduction process to help clean up the dialogue and tone back the room tone excessive noise a bit. Again, it was a balance of dialogue integrity and eliminating noise. Here is a before and after of the isotope noise reduction process.
It's been 11 days, 2 hours, and 14 minutes. We haven't talked. It's been 11 days, 2 hours, and 14 minutes. We haven't talked.
Here's another example where the original audio had actually clipped during recording, but by using isotope software, we could tame the distortion just a bit.
Huh? You got nothing to say? You can make the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, but you can't help a heartbroken party clown? Huh? You got nothing to say? You can make the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, but you can't help a heartbroken party clown?
It was important to do the isotope noise reduction processing last because the process was destructive editing, meaning once we applied the isotope noise reduction, we couldn't go back and adjust any fades or even extend the handles on the clips to make adjustments. After this, I finished with mixing and mastering the film. The film would eventually be played in a theater, so I had to make sure the audio and dialogue levels were at the right levels. Otherwise, it may sound too loud or too soft in the theater. Thanks for watching. My name is Chris Fuchs, and I hope you enjoyed learning about our process for A Clown Named Vernon.